love is all, and you will awaken into the glorious brilliance with which it shines. August 24, 2014. Those of you who continue to harbor doubts about the validity of these loving and inspiring messages from those in the spiritual realms, please release them, because you know that they are totally valid. The dream that is the illusion is coming to an end. However, its last moments of life are very disturbing for you all, because of the pain and suffering so many are experiencing, and which many others are observing with feelings of helplessness. There are those who would maintain the illusion indefinitely because it appears to give them enormous power over others. Their numbers are very small, but they have seemingly invincible egos, and over the eons they built up an hierarchical structure, placing themselves at its peak, and from which they have attempted to control, suppress, and abuse humanity. That structure is collapsing, and there is nothing that can save it because its time is up. Humanity is moving forwards to a place where individual freedom and sovereignty are divinely assured, and where there is no room for the machinations of those with self-serving personal agendas, who continue trying to maintain control of an insane and broken system that is completely beyond repair. If you look back at your history, it does seem that the power brokers, heads of families, heads of tribes, church leaders, dictators, presidents, royalty, and controllers of multinational corporations, have been inordinately successful in their egoic drive to win at all costs, but that perception is illusory. Power over others, as seen in your world, is very difficult to maintain because others are always attempting to wrest it from those who hold it. Every moment of their lives is spent defending it, and that constant defense frequently costs them everything: their loved ones, their families, their friends, and their ill-informed supporters, as they renounce love, loyalty, honesty, and personal integrity in their desperate attempts to hold on to something that is purely ephemeral, in fact quite unreal. Finally and inevitably, that sense of power, of invincibility, turns to ashes, leaving them quite bereft. Truly, the only loving thing that you can do for them is to intend to send them love and compassion to help them to awaken from the nightmare that they have built for themselves and which seems to have destroyed them. As you well know, there is no separation, all are one, and the divine light of God's love is present in all sentient beings. It is just that in some, the cloak or veil under which it has been hidden is thicker or denser. They too will awaken when they are ready, and will then be welcomed home just like the prodigal son in the biblical parable. Remember, no one is ever cast out or abandoned. All that is necessary is for a seemingly lost one to awaken, is to release itself from anything that is not in alignment with love. That can indeed be very difficult, but the opportunity to do so is never withdrawn. Only love is real. There is nothing else. Focus on that one and indisputable truth, and enjoy, in fact delight in the sense of freedom from worry or anxiety with which your faith in that eternal truth fills your hearts. All else is smoke and mirrors, a system that has attempted to convince you that life is always under threat, a short-lived, one-time only experience as a human in a dangerous environment from which there is no escape except through death into everlasting oblivion. When that belief invades your consciousness, it strengthens your sense of separation and abandonment, seemingly leaving you with no option other than to do everything in your power to grab for yourselves all that is seen as valuable, regardless of the consequences, or to sink into the depths of depression, a state that you may try to alleviate or combat by the use of various chemical stimulants. And that of course is what those who hold the reins of power have been doing for eons, but to no avail. The illusion is unreal, and even those who would seek to maintain it are very fearfully aware that it is collapsing irrevocably despite all their efforts to maintain it. To seek value and satisfaction in the offerings of the illusion, wealth, power, recognition, esteem, leads only to severe disappointment, because what you truly seek is a return to oneness with your divine source, and there is absolutely no substitute for the infinite joy of that, your natural state. And, therefore, that return is the only way out of the apparent separation and sense of aloneness that you experience and in which it seems you are ensnared. Humanity has collectively realized this, although it may not have yet been expressed in this way, and the resultant resolve and efforts of so many to put right the wrongs that plague so many of you is the intent to return home, to become once more aware of being one with your source. Go within, to your quiet undefiled inner sanctuary and be with your inner guidance, your intuition, then ask to feel the love in which you are eternally embraced. Remind yourselves that you are divine beings, perfect beings because that is how you were created. All that God, our divine source does, is by its very nature perfect, without stain or flaw of any kind. And determinedly intend to open your hearts to feel God's loving embrace. Your experiences to the contrary are of the illusion and unreal. But the illusion was very cleverly constructed by your collective intent, and it is very hard for you to see its unreality. You are far more than it seems you are, when you focus your attention on your bodies. Your bodies are of the illusion, but nevertheless, they seem very real as you experience pleasure and pain, suffering and happiness through them, in an intensity from which it is very difficult to stand back sufficiently, to recognize that they are just temporary vehicles. Vehicles that you have chosen to occupy as incarnated beings, showing the rest of humanity the way home, by holding the divine light within you on high, while intending to demonstrate love in action at all times. Of course, despite your holy intentions, you do forget your purpose from time to time, and you get drawn into the confusion and chaos of the illusion. When you have an aha moment, a sudden realization that you are not upholding the light as you had intended, do not berate or judge yourselves. Instead, forgive yourselves for sinking into the illusion, thereby temporarily losing your way in your awareness of your sacred path home, and give thanks for the wake-up call with which the realization has presented you. Then refresh your intent to hold your light on high, knowing that you are ably and constantly assisted in this divine task by those in the spiritual realms whose duty it is to watch over you and watch out for you at all times. Remember, this message is to encourage and inspire you to release your doubts about the validity of the many spiritual messages that are presently being received by so many of you faithful light holders all across the planet. The moment for humanity's awakening is very close, and that is why you are being informed of this by so many channels, and of the essential need to maintain your focus and your faith in God's eternal love for you. Love is all, and you will awaken into the glorious brilliance with which it shines eternally throughout God's divine creation. With so very much love, Saul. Channeled by John Smallman. johnsmallman.wordpress.com